Okay. Happy blissful day. Happy blissful day to you guys. Let me just make myself comfy. I want to talk about um, Neville Goddard. And so for you guys that, read this in one of Neville Goddard's, I'm not too sure if it's in one of his books. I think it's in one of his books where he states, if you have any desire and you saturate your mind for 3 days, so you saturate your mind for 3 days without contradicting yourself or wavering. But in other words, you saturate your mind for 3 days with this desire and you live as though you already have this desire. You live as though you already have this desire for 3 days. It shows up. Now, I've tested it. I've tested this. As you guys know, that I love testing the law. I love playing with the law. I love experimenting with the law because that's part of me being a creator. I don't need to use any tool, technique, or method because I am the God of my reality. I simply have to accept that I already have my desire now and just sip on my tea and I can just enjoy my life knowing that it already happened. So that is the power of being a creator. So you are the operant power. You get to operate. It's happening. But now I love challenges. I love playing with it. And I love exploring as well because it makes it more fun, you see. It makes it more fun. But now Neville Goddard said, you have a desire. Whatever your desire is, when you saturate you saturate your mind for 3 days without contradicting yourself or wavering. For 3 days, your desire shows up. But as I told you guys, I've tested it and it worked for me. Yes, it worked for me. But it's very important to understand before we go into this, it's very important to understand that your imagination, your mind, is the only real reality. So your imagination is the only real reality. Now the 3D is a reflection. It is a projection, or like Neville Goddard calls it, a shadow or an echo. So the 3D is not the real reality. It's simply just a copy of the real reality. The real reality is your imagination, consciousness. Consciousness is the only core substance of reality. So what does this mean? When you accept right now that you have your desire in your imagination, it is done. You already have it. Because manifestation is instant. There is no process. Manifestation is always instant. The moment you accept that you have it, it is done. Nothing else for you to do. Why? Because your imagination is the only real reality. And you don't need anyone's approval or validation outside of yourself. You don't need a moon. You don't need tarot card readers. You don't need gurus. You don't need coaches. You don't need gods. Only one you need is your imagination. Your imagination is God. It creates. And that is the only real reality. When you accept you have it in your imagination now, it is done. You don't need 3 days. You don't need 7 days. You do not need 21 days. You just need acceptance that it's done. Why? Because your imagination is the only real reality. In other words, your imagination is the only real world. This world we call the 3D world is a reflection. It's like a mirror. If I go to the mirror right now and my cap is skewed like that, I'm not going to try and move the mirror to fix my cap. I'm not going to do that because the mirror is only showing me who I am. What I need to do is go within and fix myself. And then the mirror reflects the change. Now, when you accept that you have your desire right now, it is done. It's done. You don't need any tools. You don't need any methods. You don't need any techniques. It's done. Now, why is it? Because you are God. Whatever you say goes. When I mean that you are God, I'm talking about that power that is beyond you, awareness, consciousness. That power is infinite and limitless. It is animating your body right now. That is the true you. That's who you really are. Because if you know that you're not your name, you can change your name. You're also not your body. You don't say, I'm nose, I'm ear, I'm lips. You're also not your thoughts, and you're also not your feelings, because you have like 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. Thoughts always come and go. Feelings come and go. So you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings. You're also not your mind. So if you're not your name, you're not your body, you're not your thoughts and your feelings, then who are you? You are the awareness that is being aware of your name, your body, your thoughts, and your feelings. So in other words, you are the observer observing your mind and your body. Now that power is infinite and limitless. That is who you are. Now, let us break down the whole 3 days, because Neville said, hey, when you saturate your mind for 3 days, your manifestation shows up. But when you saturate your mind, is you are now letting go of your past thoughts and feelings, the way you were thinking earlier on. You let go of that old thinking. And you are now only thinking about your new desire, and you're thinking from it. So you're no longer thinking like the old man. You are now thinking like the new man. So now what happens if you start thinking like the new man? You see, we have, according to studies, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And 90% of those thoughts were exactly the same like yesterday and last week and last month. So in other words, We are living in our past. So the life that you were living yesterday were a residual effect of your past thoughts and feelings. And the life that you're living today were because of the past thoughts and feelings that you were thinking yesterday. So you're always thinking about your past. You live in your past. Now get this. Your past always becomes your future because your assumptions create your reality. Now your assumptions is based on your past because of the way you're thinking on a daily basis. Like, for example, I'm going to share my experience, right? When I wake up tomorrow morning, the first thing that, okay, I used to do this, but just for this, when I wake up tomorrow morning, first thing, that I used to do is I take my phone and then I just check my messages, my emails, and then I maybe check, what's happening, on YouTube, on Instagram, on social media, right? And so now that's the first thing that I do when I wake up. And then after that, I then, obviously do what I have to do in the toilet. And then afterwards, I drink either coffee or tea in the same cup because my life is a routine. I do the exact same thing every day. And then after that, I would basically, brush my teeth the same way. I'll usually start this side and then that side. But my life is a routine of the day before. So I do the exact same thing every single day. Now that routine is a program in my mind. It's a program. And my body is just following this program. And the program is based on the past. So now when you introduce a new desire, it now becomes your future self. So for example, if your desire is to become financially free and you've been experiencing lack, so now your future self is now financially free and you used to experience lack. And so now when you wake up the following day, what you need to do, the first thing you want to do is remind yourself of your future self, not of your past self, of your future self. Because if you're going to still do the whole social media thing, looking at your emails and doing, you now reminding yourself of your old self, which is undesirable. And what that's going to do is you're going to just repeat the same cycle. But when you say, you know what? No, 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 no. I no longer want to be part of this old program that's been running my life for so many years. I am now conscious. I know that, okay, this routine was actually a program that used to run my life all these years. But now I'm aware that this is a program. And I'm now choosing to install a new program that is going to be of benefit to me. And the new program is financial freedom. And now you ask yourself, okay, cool. So who am I as the person who is now financially free? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I acting? Now you close your eyes, you meditate, and you actually experience this future self in your imagination. Now remember what I said early on. Your imagination is the real world. It's the real reality. So when you experience this future self in your imagination, you actually living it in the real world. And your subconscious mind does not know the difference. It actually thinks that, oh shit, Gabriel is financially free. Gabriel is financially free. Now get this. Do this every day, and your future self now becomes your current self. And your current self now becomes your new past. Now your new past is now your desirable reality. Now all of a sudden you experience financial freedom because you've literally changed the program from the old desirable to the new desirable. And that is so, 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 so empowering. But you have to understand that because of how we were conditioned when we came to this planet, it is going to take commitment and discipline for you to be aware of who's actually running the show. So you constantly have to be aware. Is the old program running the show or the new program? The old program is the one that usually wakes up, check his social media, emails, texts, drink his coffee, complain, think about his past. That's the old program. The new program, immediately, when he wakes up, he reminds himself of his new future self. He now goes into the real world in the imagination and he lives his future self. He now experiences what it is to be financially free. He's now thinking that way. He's acting that way. He's now reacting that way. And he's living from that new version. Now, that's not Mickey Mouse or Child's Play because the imagination is the real world. Whatever you do in the imagination is done. It's money in the bank. Because whatever you do in the imagination reflects in the 3D. The 3D is only showing you what's happening in your mind. The 3D is simply showing you what's happening in your mind. So now I want you to take a moment, have a look at your life. Have a look at your life. Have a look at your health, your happiness, and your wealth. Just observe that. Now, however that is right now, it's simply telling you what's in your imagination, what's in your mind, what's in your brain. Now, if you do not like what you see, you can change it. You can change it right now. And the change is not a process. It's instant. The moment you say, okay, I am now happy, healthy, and wealthy, it is done. Because there are infinite versions of you that exist right now. There is a millionaire version of you. There is a broke version of you. There is a healthy version of you. There is a version of you that is happily in love. There is a version of you that has a beautiful family. Right now. All that is required from you is just to select it, to choose it, and to accept it. So the moment you accept it, you now leave the old version behind. And now you're shifting into the new version. It's like changing a channel. So when you watch TV right now and you're watching channel 1 and channel 1 plays rock music and you say, hey, I don't actually like rock music anymore. I am now a classical guy. I'm a classical woman. I want to change this channel. And you change to channel 2, and now channel 2 is just classical music. And now you're enjoying classical music. You see, there are infinite channels. There's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5, channel 6, channel 7, channel 8, channel 9. All you need to do is just choose your desired channel. Now, similarly with your life, when you are experiencing an undesirable version of yourself right now, all you need to do is just become clear of your new version, accept you are now the new version, and you will then shift into that new version. As Neville Goddard says, when you change your conception of yourself, your entire world will change automatically. Do not try to change people. They are only messengers telling you who you are. Revalue yourself and they will confirm the change. So you see what Neville Goddard says, that, hey, you don't have to worry about the outside world. Don't worry about the 3D. The 3D is only a mirror showing you what's in your brain, what's in your mind, what's in your imagination. Your job is to choose and ask yourself, what do you really, really want? What do you want? Comment below and tell me. What do you really, really want? Tell me, if you had to get only a yes right now, if there's only a yes, what do you want? Comment below and tell me, what do you want? So whatever that is, you then accept that you are it now. And what then happens is you then shift into that new version of yourself. You leave the old behind. So you are now leaving the old self-concept behind and you're now shifting into the new self-concept. In other words, you're now changing a channel from the old to the new. So you're not changing anything. You're not transforming anything. You're simply jumping from one reality to another. You're jumping from one timeline to another. You're jumping from one dimension to another. Now, or you're jumping from one state to another. Now, each and every state is complete. It has its own thoughts, feelings, actions, and automatic manifestations as well. Now, I'm going to give you an example. So, I used to be in a state of anxiety and depression. And I said, hey, man, I've had enough of this. What is the opposite of this? Bliss. I said, okay, cool. I am now choosing to shift in the state of bliss. So I left the state of anxiety and depression behind, and I jumped from that to the state of bliss. And my life became magical. All of a sudden, I just felt so free. I felt happy. I felt inner peace. I could finally actually hang out with myself. I could chill with myself. I could go for walks on the beach with myself. So I was no longer dependent on the outside world to fulfill me. I finally found fulfillment within myself. Why? Because I've shifted from the state of anxiety and depression, which is you depending on a outside force to fulfill you. So you're relying on someone outside of you to actually fulfill you. But now the cool thing about bliss, you're already fulfilled inside. You're now experiencing inner peace, inner joy, inner love, and acceptance. Now that's to give you an example when you actually shift states. Now, it's very important to understand that you are not the state. You are not the state. You are bigger than the state. So, why is it so important to understand that you're not the state? Because if you are experiencing an undesirable state, you know that you are not it. It doesn't have power over you. All you need to do is ask yourself, what do you really, really want? Then you shift into that new desired state. And how do you do that? You accept that you are it now. So now I love this challenge by Neville Goddard. And Neville Goddard says, hey, when you saturate your mind for 3 days without contradicting yourself, without wavering, without being wishy-washy, without being in and out, without being hot and cold. You saturate your mind for 3 days. Your manifestation will show up. Now, this is not an easy task because we were conditioned to think in the past. And unfortunately, most of our past is based on fear, guilt, and shame. So if you try to actually saturate your mind for 3 days with your new desire, it's going to be challenging because your past is always going to come to you and say, no, not it. Who do you think you are? You're not even worthy. You're not even good enough. Who do you think you are? So that's that voice that's going to come and constantly remind you of who you were. And who you were, you experienced this old self for many, 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 many years. And now you come and you are trying to actually do this for 3 days. Yes, it's going to be challenging, but it is possible when you know who you are. If you think that you are your body, you've already lost the battle. You've already lost the battle. But when you remember that you are the power that is animating your body, which is infinite and limitless, you are now unstoppable. And that power, you can call it whatever you want. I amness, awareness, consciousness. And I want to give you a taste. Experience that power right now. I want to give you a taste. So I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. I want you to experience this power. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and just slowly breathe out. Take a deep breath in through your nose and just slowly breathe out. Just take another deep breath in through your nose and just slowly breathe out. Now I just want you to imagine, I want you to take your awareness, your focus from your head, and now think about your heart. I want you to focus on your heart, right? And I want you to extend your heart as big as the planet. Just extend, just imagine that you are expanding your heart as big as the planet. Now I want you to expand it as big as the galaxy. Now I want you to expand it as big as the universe. Now I want you to try to find an end or a beginning. Just try and see if you can find an end or a beginning. Just like literally go and see if you can find an end and a beginning. And whilst you're in this present of your true self, your true identity, I want you to ask this question. Ask this question, who am I? Ask this power, this awareness, who am I? Like, let you just ask this and see what comes up. Okay, so now I want you to open your eyes and comment and tell me what have you experienced doing this? What was your experience actually doing this? Comment, let me know. For those who actually did this, comment and let me know. I'm curious to see for those that actually did this, because I want to let you know that it's easy to say that I am God, I'm the upper power, I'm the creator of reality. If you do not experience that power, then what's the use? It's like you driving a car. You know that you're the driver. If you do not get into that car and operate it, then the car is useless. So if you do not allow your body to experience your true self, then your body is useless. See, let me see, let's see. I'm limitless, nice. I'm focusing on becoming. Right. I'm love, I'm abundance, I'm light. Massive. Awesome. I'm the energy of everything. Okay, no, awesome. No, for those that actually did it, well done. But yeah, so what I wanted to share with you is that manifestation is always instant. There is no process. You don't need 3 days, 7 days, 21 days. It's always instant because the only real reality is in your imagination. The only real reality is in your mind. So when you accept that you have it right now, it's a done deal. That's money in the bank. So you accept that you have it right now, and now you just have to live from this new acceptance. And your 3D will change automatically because your 3D is only a mirror showing you what's happening in your mind. Now, where people are obviously finding it a little bit challenging is they waver, they contradict themselves, they wishy-washy, they in and out. So people, they say, okay, yes, I have my desire now. And then later, something happens, and then they act as though they don't have the desire. It's like with Neville Goddard. He wanted to go to Barbados. Abdullah told him that, hey, you are already in Barbados. He said, what? Yeah, Abdullah said, you already in Barbados. And he slammed the door, boom. Because Abdullah understood that there's only one real reality, and that's the imagination. So when you accept right now, you tell me, hey, I am in Barbados. You are in Barbados. Now live your life from Barbados. Feel the ocean breeze, hear the ocean, see the palm trees, live as though you're in Barbados, even though you are in New York in the 3D. Remember, the 3D is not the real world. You do not need approval or validation from the 3D. It's not the real world, it's a copy. The real world is your imagination. So whatever you accept in the imagination, it's a done deal. It's money in the bank. You can celebrate. Now, unfortunately, a lot of us think that our imagination is Mickey Mouse and our imagination is child's play. A lot of us do not believe that our imagination is God. A lot of us rather believe in the 3D and we look for results in the 3D. We're waiting for something to happen in the 3D. The 3D is just a copy. Why would you even waste your time to find approval or validation in the 3D? Imagination is the only real reality. When you accept that you have it in your imagination, it's done, baby. It's done and dusted. You now just have to live from this new acceptance and ask yourself, now that I've accepted that I am the person who has my desire, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I acting? What is my overall sensation now that I've accepted I am the person who has my desire? And now you live from this new acceptance. And the 3D automatically reflects this new acceptance. And to end off, I want to share, because I love this story. So when I manifested my wife, and I was single, and I asked myself, okay, so what do I want? I was like, you know what? I want a blissful marriage, not just a relationship, a blissful marriage. So I knew that I had to accept that I am already a blissful husband, a blissful married man. And so I accepted that I'm now a blissfully married man. And I remained faithful to this acceptance, even though I was single. Even though, remember, I was in the 3D, I was single, no relationship, but I accepted in the real world, in my imagination, that I am now a blissfully married man. And I lived from this new acceptance. So sometimes I would go to restaurants alone in the 3D, but then when it came to my mind, I would just go in my imagination and I would cheers my glass with my wife. Bing! And I say, cheers, baby, endless bliss in my imagination, in the real world. And sometimes I would go for walks on the beach alone in the 3D, and it would come to my mind. And I would see my wife next to me in my imagination. I'd hold her hand. I said, wow, look at that beautiful sunset in my imagination. And I lived like this for 3.5 months. And boom, my 3D automatically changed. And that's where my beautiful wifey showed up. And on the second date, I told her that you're my wife, and she thought that I was crazy. I knew that she was my wife because I lived that way for 3.5 months. I knew she was my wife. And now we're enjoying a blissful married life. So I invite you to just, because like I said, a lot of us think that our imagination is Mickey Mouse and child's play. Your imagination is God. It creates, and it's the only real reality. So I invite you to treat it as such and to quit playing games, because when you do, your entire life will change. And that's my message for you today. Thanks for everyone. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, so I just want to say this. We've got, a lot of meditations, especially for those that need that guidance, whether you want to manifest money or love, where we guide you in meditation to feel the feelings, to think the thoughts, and to constantly remind yourself of your new reality. You can check out our meditations, or if you need one-on-one help, coaching, you can click on the description as well. And having said that, keep smiling and enjoy your blissful day.